Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a pick a card reading for the time frame ahead. Usually I pick an overall theme. I don't have one necessarily for this one. The way that I'm pulling cards has been changing recently, so I'm using this Cantigee, I don't know how you say it, Oracle. And so I pulled one card for each group. I haven't actually pulled the clarifying cards for each group yet, but I'm just gonna hold up the cards for each group that I pulled. And at the bottom of the deck, because I do feel like these readings can be very much related, just the way that the cards are coming out. So at the bottom of the deck, we have the Sentient Nest. So I'm seeing this as being the overall theme for all of the readings. And this card talks about interaction between you and your environment, that your environment is a living thing, that all things are interconnected, and how to, I guess, like tap into the aliveness of your environment. So that's how it's coming through. And for each group, I guess there will be a different message about how best to do that, perhaps in different environments or different aspects of your life. So we're going to go through each group. I'll hold up the cards. So for group 1, we have this one, 42, which says the snake encircles the moon. Snake encircles the moon. Number 42, that's for group 1. For group 2, we have number 8, which says a swan in a crowd of crows. You actually got 2 for group 2. So the second one is the dark solstice sun. It's card number 1, but I was guided to just show this one. So this is the card for group 2. For group 3, you also got 2. So the first one says, it's number 40, in the Garden of Lost Teeth. And it's being clarified with pollination. So I'll hold up the 3 cards. So for group 1, the snake encircles the moon. Group 2 is a swan in a crowd of crows. And group 3 is in the Garden of Lost Teeth. So I'll put the timestamps in the description box below. You can choose which group is, or which card is calling you the most. But we're just going to get right into the reading. So for group 1, hold on, let me get myself organized. Okay. So, number 42, I am going to read the descriptions for them just because I find them so interesting, and there's so much information, and it's just a new perspective, I think. So, the snake encircles the moon. One day, the snake, with a tongue long enough to encircle the earth, decided to smell the moon. As its tongue reached upwards, it was struck by a rogue lightning bolt from a storm beyond the snake's vision. Its electrified tongue shot wildly upward, quickly attaining the moon. Briefly pulled between 2 orbits, the snake surrendered its hold on the earth, let its body contract around its tongue, and became a slithering comet tail trailing the moon as the storm's electricity grounded into some gray lunar crater. Duly adjusted, the snake rested for a while, wrapping its tongue and body around the moon in a grateful embrace, and gazed at the earth from a distance until the enticing smell of young mice wafted upward through the strata. This familiar, tantalizing scent induced a mysterious gravity that pulled the snake and its long, long tongue back home from the realms of stardust. Thereafter, the snake kept its tongue close. So the key notes for this one are: take refuge in what's available for grounding you in this moment. Get perspective on and reinvigorate your relationship with your usual places of abiding. There are things that give you a sense of safety and stability. When you feel that these things have become too turbulent in your life or in your heart, merely remembering these things is like bringing your storm-beaten ship to relieving moorage in a sheltered harbor. This is called taking refuge, finding sanctuary, or abiding in. Snakes have an incredibly intimate relationship with the earth. Their movements are a caressing of the planet. They dwell upon and within the earth, their whole body in contact with it. The moon, too, is in intimate relationship with the earth, circling around our planet month after timeless month. For both the snake and the moon, the earth is refuge. In this story, however, the snake briefly leaves its centralizing sanctuary and travels out to the lunar periphery of our sphere. It is injured along the way and needs a moment to recover, so it moors itself on and around the moon. From there, it is able to restabilize, re-inspire, and get a new perspective on its now distant abode before returning. When you're drawn to this archetype, you'll now benefit from recognizing what you take refuge in and sprucing up your relationship with those centering, grounding, and stabilizing abodes. Each of us finds sanctuary in different things. It may be your home, your work, your family, a pet, or a close relationship. It could be your routines, commutes, and practices. It could also be a deity, nature, or a specific spot in nature, creativity, a philosophy, a religion, science, the concept of infinity, etc. Whatever gives you a sense of peace, space, and softening, when you just think of it, that's your refuge. So it's talking about actually getting a new perspective on the things that you find refuge in. So it could be even taking a break from the things that you normally find refuge in. So if it's like you have your routines, you have the things that comfort you, you have all these sort of stable things, what if you took a break from that? And explored something new, perhaps? That's sort of the guidance that comes with this one. In order to get a new perspective on those practices so that when you return to them, they become something different. So that could be sort of guidance for you. Okay, so I'm gonna just leave the guidebook there, and I'll pull a couple, maybe one archetype card. So what does group 1 need to know about this? So maybe you're just being drawn by some sort of new inspiration with the moon. And it's like, it's okay to take a break from your regular routines. Maybe there's someone who's feeling, I don't know, like unsure about taking a break is how it's coming through. You have the mystical sister here. This talks about a sacred ally. So you have a lot of support. There's someone here supporting you in perhaps seeking out some sort of new inspiration here with the flame. Who is there somebody that they're like, they would support you unconditionally in this new endeavor, is how it's coming through. Like, perhaps somebody that you share ideas with. And you have here the peacock's tail as well. This card talks about full vision, right? Like a full spectrum of ideas is how it's coming through. And it talks about like not just duality, but it does talk about sort of like the two ends or the two poles where of like different ideas or things like that, or different philosophies or opinions even, or just like two opposing views, right? The full spectrum of it, but the magic happens when you bring those two things together. So there may be something here about like exploring a different perspective is how that's feeling to me. Or perhaps seeing your usual perspective from somebody else's point of view is how that's coming through. Like if you could, so perhaps there's a significant sort of mystical sister here where it's like they're showing you their point of view, perhaps on something that's very stable or routine in your life that's perhaps giving you a new perspective. Beware of great pride, the peacock. The wall, misunderstanding. And the chain, a chain of events that will affect your life. And that's interesting because you have the peacock's tail and the peacock coming out. So this one says, beware of great pride. Because of this one talking about sort of different perspectives, it could be talking about like, especially with the misunderstanding and the chain of events, that maybe there's something that you need to see from somebody else's perspective. Is how that's coming through. Perhaps there's been a misunderstanding with somebody that you normally have a, like, it's like maybe there's been a misunderstanding, or I don't think misunderstanding is the right word, but because it's coming through the wall, it's like a divide, right? Like it doesn't feel quite like a separation, but it feels like you're on opposite sides of the wall. There is there's a separation in that sense where it's like perhaps there's no communication or Okay, we're gonna get tarot out. So I feel like it's wanting you to there's like a new perspective that is wanting to be seen or experienced about a particular situation, perhaps with like a friend or something. Normally I see this as being like a friend or somebody that or somebody that you normally see eye to eye with. Four of Cups coming out first. Okay, so that's very much the feeling of like the snake encircling the moon. That's what this energy is. It kind of feels like I don't want to say that it's because the Four of Cups to me, like, 4 is an energy of stability, right? But it could be like sort of, it can turn into sort of stagnant emotions with the Four of Cups, where maybe you're feeling like the status quo is like been the same, is how it's coming through. And it's kind of like there is something new here with the Ace of Cups that's drawing your attention, but I feel like maybe it's time to turn towards whatever that Ace of Cups is, because it's like just to almost like just to give you a new perspective on it. It's just like taking a step back just so that you can see this, like your stable routine, which I feel like doesn't necessarily need to change, but that there's a a new way of seeing it. It's just like getting a new perspective on stability or grounding or routines. Okay, you have here the Knight of Pentacles and the Four of Wands. Page of Swords and the Knight of Cups. Ten of Cups and the Seven of Pentacles. Three of Cups. Hanged Man. King of Swords. Excuse me. And the Ten of Cups at the, or Ten of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. So this Ten of Pentacles talks to me about like community members or family, right? Like the very stable people in your life who know all the things about you. Or like that you can be. It's kind of like there's no surprises in this energy. That's sort of the context. Like your family, or if it's not your family, the people who are closest to you, your community, perhaps expect a certain version of you, let's say. It's kind of coming through like that. Like maybe there's like a certain version of you, or people expect certain behaviors or whatever from you that can actually, I feel like, be causing this sort of Four of Cups energy, which is interesting. Like, because this one talks about like there's like you have three cups but feeling unsatisfied with that, right? Like it's an energy of dissatisfaction, or something's missing kind of thing, which is interesting because the Ten of Cups is coming out underneath. So is that what's missing? And then you have the Knight of Pentacles and the Seven of Pentacles. So the Knight of Pentacles to me talks about like building something over a long period of time, right? Like something that takes a lot of like daily practice, or which is interesting because that is coming up again. But with the Seven of Pentacles, I feel like there's, because this one talks to me about like having a lot of preparation to do, or because of grocery shopping, right? The idea of like, it's kind of coming through as being like a lot of errands to run, or there's just a lot of like things on your to-do list. I feel like maybe that comes with the Knight of Pentacles. So that might be something where it's like taking a break from all that, or some of it, like whatever is not like immediately necessary is kind of how it's coming through. Maybe there is somebody who is asking you for, I don't know, or something unexpected, or like something, especially with the snake encircling the moon, because that talked about like something unseen, right? Like a lightning storm that was unseen that sort of pulled the snake away from the earth, right? So it could be something like that, where like maybe there's something unexpected here that's pulling you away from your regular routine in some way. And which is interesting because it's coming through like this, like the 4 of Wands and the 3 of Cups, which could be, I mean, this looks like some sort of gathering or celebration. Perhaps a wedding as well. Like I get wedding vibes for this one, especially out of all my decks. Perhaps like a friend's wedding or something like that, where it's calling you out of a routine, for sure, but that it's giving you a new perspective because you've taken some distance away from it, away from your routine or something like that, that gives you a new perspective on what's grounding to you, or because the 4 of Wands also talks about sort of like happiness and stability within the home as well. With the 3 of Cups, because you have here it's starting out here with the 4 of Cups, because it almost just feels like there's nothing there's nothing necessarily wrong with your environment, is how it's coming through. However, it's almost just like you need distance from it for time, like just a break, in order to come back to it and see, like, because the 3 of Cups is still there. So this might not even be something like, this might not be necessarily an event, is how it's coming through. It might just be like, this is your home, this is your situation at the moment. This is your home. This is like your stability. This is where you find refuge. But I feel like there's an energy here that's like, you're not seeing it that way, right? It's almost like you need to take a break or get some distance from it in order to see it from this perspective. So there may be somebody else who's seeing your situation like this, a mystical sister energy, who's seeing your situation as being this like a happy home kind of thing, celebration, joyfulness. Especially with the next cards coming out, you have the Page of Swords and the Hanged Man, right? A new perspective. I feel like with this Page of Swords as well, I often see this as being somebody else, like somebody who is outside of you. You might not know this person very well. It kind of feels like there's maybe somebody who you're encountering, like say you are going to like an event or something, or meeting up with friends, or it could even be traveling a distance. There's somebody here who's like, perhaps that you're meeting or something like that. They're coming through with the Page of Swords. Learning something about you, or because this one talks to me about like gathering information. So someone who's like gathering information about something, I don't know. A chain of events that will affect your life. Perhaps there's somebody else trying to get your perspective on something. And finally, you have the Knight of Cups and the King of Swords coming out next. I feel like this is you. Or, because I'm seeing this as like, these are the two perspectives, right? So put yourself into the whichever role that you see fit, that there's if you're the Page of Swords, there's like a King of Swords, Knight of Cups energy that you're perhaps trying to see something from their perspective is how it's coming through. And if you're this energy, there's somebody who's trying to see your perspective. That's just how it's feeling to me. Hold on, I'm going to pull one more card. What is this? Knight of Cups, King of Swords? The moon. The moon. This one talks to me about subconscious energies, right? But because of the snake encircling the moon, I feel like this is... so maybe it's like revealing... Maybe having a conversation with this one here with the King of Swords is... giving you some sort of new inspiration, or that it's like revealing something about like a subconscious energy that is coming up to the surface of like something that perhaps that you need, or some sort of desire, or perhaps something about like with the chain here. Maybe something that's actually holding you back is how it's coming through. Especially with this Hangman and the Page of Swords. This one can kind of look to me like, of all the hanged men in the tarot decks, this one looks to me like she's actually stuck. Like it's not just like a... Anyways, it's coming through like maybe there's somebody who is... maybe there's an energy of like feeling stuck is how it's coming through with the chain. Because this card always looks to me like there's almost like a chain that's encircling the earth is how it's coming through. So it's like maybe you're feeling really stuck somewhere, or there's like something stagnant, perhaps just in terms of like your emotional state about what it is that you have already is how it's coming through. Like your stable routine, your stability, the things that support you, the things that nourish you. But it's like there's a perception of a chain or stuckness that perhaps a conversation with maybe a stranger, right? Like somebody that you don't know very well, they're showing you something about like, I don't know, a different perspective on your established routines or the things that nourish you or something like that, that shows you a different aspect of it so that you can return to your work or whatever it is that is causing this Four of Cups energy, so that you can return to whatever it is that you're doing with almost like a re-energized sort of state. Because I feel like with like where it is that you are now is how it's feeling to me, how it's looking to me, where it's like you have this Four of Wands and the Three of Cups, but there's a feeling of like just needing a new perspective, right? Like taking a break and returning to it can sometimes just be the thing that's needed, right? It's like you have to leave home in order for you to know that you miss home, that kind of thing. That's how it's coming through. Anyways, group 1, I'm gonna end it there. If this reading resonated with you, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. It helps so much. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. Okay, group 2. So if you picked a swan in a crowd of crows, I love this card so much. I'm gonna read the description for it. Okay, so you find yourself flying through a dimming sky as the sun sinks low in the west. Your broad wings bear you on cooling currents as you search for a place near water to rest. You are a swan, traveling alone over miles of fields. At last, water catches your eye. a puddle the size of a pond near the edge of a field, formed during recent rains, destined to dry up in the summer months, but here for now. You alight by the water's edge, amid the cacophonous commentary of crows roosting in the poplars beside the puddle. What happened to be a peaceful sanctuary for a lone, weary traveler is in fact a bustling party of mischievous creatures. You and the crows observe each other. Nothing is spoken between you and the crows, but an acceptance is reached as you curiously consider their flitting, interdependent society, and as they appreciate your quiet and unthreatening dignity.
You guys want it with pasta or do you want a sandwich?
Sorry for the noise. Your difference intrigues them and stimulates new ideas in their clever, corvid minds. You benefit from their watchful ways, and all rest well through the night. Let your uniqueness shine forth. Engage in your singular role in the great scheme of all that is. Although they are both birds, crows and swans are extraordinarily different. Here, a swan finds itself among the great gathering of crows, preparing to roost together for the night. Being a large white waterfowl, the swan sticks out from both the surrounding green inland landscape and from the ink-black crows. Although the swan is surrounded by others, it is singular and thus somehow alone. Okay, so rather than perceiving yourself as separate, instead recognize yourself as a unique facet of the greater oneness of all that is. It is only by being true to who you are that you are able to contribute the sparkle and shine you are meant to give to the one great jewel of being. Honor your true nature and trust there is some unique and vital intelligence that only you can add to the great stew of being to the benefit of all. It's also important to honor the discomfort of feeling different. It's only through acknowledging the pain, loneliness, and fear of not fitting in that you can then assess whether your difference somehow brings an interesting and important benefit to you in your situation, or whether it calls for you to make a shift in place, role, or community. To craft an authentic and sustainable way to be yourself, sometimes you need to fly on to a more appropriate environment or community, or sometimes it's a matter of recognizing how your uniqueness both contributes to and is exalted by the communities, situations, and environments in which you find yourselves. This archetype is also a reminder to honor the differences of those around you. If you are drawn to this archetype when you are struggling with someone else's differences, let this card inspire you to embrace this person just as they are. Consider what they alone can teach you and how that might be just the medicine you need right now. So, because the overall theme is about the sentient nest, right? Interacting with your environment. I feel like for those who were drawn to this group or this card, it feels like there's a feeling of being sort of alone within a group or within the environment, of feeling different. So there is perhaps an energy of feeling isolated is kind of how it's feeling, or just feeling separate from whatever is around you. And so it's kind of coming through with this balance of, yes, you are different than whatever is around you, but to honor the difference, right? That there is something unique about what you can give to a situation is how it's coming through. And perhaps also what you receive, like perhaps you are there in order to receive something different than what you are, right? Or what it is that you're used to, or something like that. What was sticking out to me in that description is like, perhaps there is an energy of like, maybe somebody is getting ready to leave a certain space is how it's coming through, especially with the dark solstice sun. I'm not going to read the description for this one, but just off the top of my head, it talks about sort of like a void space, because it's the one card, it's the first card in this deck. It talks about like a a regenerative turning point. So I feel like there's an energy of like somebody's perhaps at the point of assessing whether or not this is the place that they want to stay, because it's an energy of like feeling different, or perhaps there's a loneliness or something like that that is causing a separation or something like that from the environment, is how it's coming through. And what this card highlights is like practice being uncomfortable with the unknown and the void. And especially with this card, it's because like the swan is created from the void space of where the crows are. Which is interesting. It's like you are like the void, like whatever it is that the crows metaphorically are missing, that's what you are, is how it's coming through. Whatever it is the crows are missing, that is what you have, or you are. So I don't know, we'll get more cards out on that about like I don't know, the choice is always yours about whether or not you stay there or not, but there is a reason that this is coming out. Like it's either you have something to give, or there's something that you're meant to receive from this group, or it's just kind of like accepting the difference and sort of just living, coexisting together is kind of how it's coming through. Okay, so you have the Jupiter card and the red and white rose. Okay, so Jupiter talks about expansion, right? I feel like maybe you're in an energy of expansion, getting ready to move on or move forward, or especially with this dark solstice sun. Okay, I'm not going to read the whole description. I just want to get like regenerative turning point. So I feel like you are stepping into something new. It's a period of growth. It's a period of growth, but I feel like there's this energy of like a void space, right? It's like, especially with Jupiter and expansion, in order for something new to come in, you first have to make space, right? It's kind of coming through like that. And with the red and white rose, this talks about sort of like a physical expression of spiritual energies in some way. I feel like there's something like physical that's trying to arrive, is how it's coming through. But so you need to make physical space, is how it's feeling. Or maybe there's just an energy of like well, it's kind of coming through like if you're moving somewhere, right? Like the place that you're moving to is empty. Or the place that you're going to is empty. Okay. So you have wishbone, a wish is granted. I love seeing that one. And the money path. A path with money is waiting for you to find it. So it could be in terms of a new job, right? Especially with this one, a swan in a crowd of crows. it could be that like a job environment, right? Work environment where it's like the so maybe you're looking for a new job or you're expanding in some way in your work. It says take care, enemies are working against you. Okay. That's interesting. I never know what to make of that bat card. Okay, so these cards just flipped out. I wasn't going to take them, but it says ladder, climbing towards success. The dagger, which says fear, worries, tense situations. The vulture, I feel like this one's a key one here because it says depression, anxiety, worry that someone is against you. And then the bull, it says do not back down from opposition, show strength and fortitude. So it could be that there's, especially with the vulture, because this card comes out when it's like feeling like other people are against you, right? With the bat coming out. Because I feel like it's not necessarily that there are forces working against you or that there are enemies, quote unquote, working against you. It's just that whoever is around you right now is different from you. They're not, but the way that the language in this description was that both energies were very sort of respectful of the other person's differences. So it's kind of like maybe there's a feeling of the environment or the people around you or whatever circumstances are working against you or that are whatever. There's opposition in some way. And it's kind of trying to reassure you that it's like there's nothing, they're not actively trying to work against you. It just feels like they're just not the same as you. They're different from you in whatever way. In a way that's significant, right? That makes it feel like perhaps you're alone or unsupported in this, is how it's coming through. Especially because it's coming out with the dagger. I feel like maybe it just feels like there's fear or worries about a situation. But you are climbing towards success and to show strength. A wish is granted, though. It's like I feel like you're headed on the right path. Perhaps an expansion in work or money or resources in whatever way. It is a turning point. With the red and white rose as well. I'm going to get more information on that. It's not this deck. Hold on. I think I have to read just briefly the red and white rose description. Something is coming to life. Okay, so it says, the pristine white of the rose is not threatened by the blood red pigment. Their mixing does not make pink. Rather, each color remains vibrantly itself, expressing its message. It signifies the awakening of the physical as a gateway to the spiritual. Without the body, spiritual teachings remain conceptual, not yet integrated into the everyday. This card encourages the alchemist to honor the body as a temple each and every day, observing it, listening to it, mining it for information and guidance. This card signifies a mastery, a uniting of body to serve the soul's purpose, as seen in the likes of dancers, athletes, and during the birth process. So because it's coming through with the swan, the pristine white versus the inky black crows, there's something here about like, maybe there's, because it's like the red and white here do not make pink, right? So maybe there's somebody here who's like worried about like something that's unwanted in the work affecting the work is how it's coming through, or affecting whatever it is. And it's kind of like that's a worry. I feel like it's a fear perhaps, or just like a discomfort. It's like these two things are remaining separate, is how it's feeling to me. I actually feel like this is I actually feel like this may actually be like the physical environment is supporting you in some way, is how it's coming through. It's because it could be that there's discomfort within the physical environment, but in some way that discomfort is serving you. That's how it's feeling to me. Perhaps in a way that's unexpected or surprising, but I feel like there's something coming to life, or some sort of new Queen of Swords in reverse. I was holding it upside down, but that's significant. The Queen of Swords in reverse, because this Queen of Swords upright talks to me about someone who's like very protective of their energy, or after sort of a period of wounding can become closed off, is how that comes through. So in reverse, it's talking to me about like opening up, especially here with the swan in the crows card. Perhaps somebody was closing off their energy because there was worry or fear about like some sort of unwelcome energy that would mix or blend in a way that was unwelcome, right? It's like, because this card always reminds me of like when you put like a red clothing item into a batch of white laundry, it turns all of the white laundry pink, like that kind of thing. Like, so maybe somebody's worried about that happening, whatever that means in terms of like how this relates to you, that there was perhaps some sort of like unwanted energy or influence that there was worry about that sort of interfering or affecting whatever it is that you've been working on. With the Queen of Swords coming out in reverse, I feel like maybe there's sort of like something changing about a protective stance that somebody has taken. And the Strength card. So the Strength card to me always talks about like having a harmonious balance between you and your quote-unquote animal nature, or like your physical body or the physical environment. Because it's Leo energy as well, it's also coming through as being sort of like what you have to give to others, like generosity, but also like you in the spotlight is how it's coming through. So maybe somebody is feeling like uncomfortable because of this, right? It's like maybe uncomfortable about being seen as different, right? Or like unique in whatever way, or different, or just being like put on the spot is how it's coming through. The Emperor coming out next. And the Hierophant You have 3 major arcana in a row. Strength, Emperor, and the Hierophant. Okay, hold on. I'm just going to get all the cards out first and then I'll talk about them. 7 of Cups. Four of Wands. Two of Pentacles. 5 of Wands. Eight of Coins. And the Page of Pentacles. Okay. And at the bottom of the deck, the Page of Cups. Okay. So I feel like with the Queen of Swords and the Four of Wands coming out next, this is talking to me about the expansion, right? I feel like there's been some sort of energy that was like closed. So it doesn't have to be you necessarily. It could be a situation or an environment or some way. It's like I'm just feeling sort of like it's protected. Whatever this energy is protected, but it feels like it's opening up again. It could be even something like a manifestation that's not ready to be shared is how it's coming through. Like if you're preparing something, it's like it's not quite ready yet, and so you don't want to tell people too early. It's that kind of energy is how it's coming through. With the Four of Wands, this I'm seeing as being the expansion. But it talks to me about like I've been seeing a lot of like empty lots where it's like it was coming through with this energy of like breaking ground on something. So it's kind of looking to me like maybe something is ready to like the foundation is being laid is how it's coming through. Some sort of wish is granted. It's a really positive energy. I feel like there has been with the Strength and the Two of Pentacles, like someone is using a lot of strength here to balance something, right? It's like to keep, I see this card as being like to keep something afloat, right? Like to keep it above water. So like using a lot of strength in order to keep something safe is how it's coming through, or to like maintain something if it's not that. Like maintain something, or to like balance something that's tricky, or to because it feels kind of like there's some situation that feels like unstable or unknown here with the void space. It's like it hasn't been established yet is how it's coming through. So it's like trying to keep it safe, or trying to keep it stable as much as possible. It's kind of like if it's really windy and you're trying to keep like a lighter, like a flame, like a match, a flame lit when it's windy, right? You got to put your hands around it. It's kind of coming through like that, like keeping it safe because the environment is windy, or that there's like things changing still is how it's coming through. With the Emperor, and the Five of Wands, because this Emperor to me talks about like So it is coming through with a lot of strength as well. I feel like, so it could be like, because with the Four of Wands, this talks about sort of like the people that you're happiest with in some way, or like your home, or all of that. Hold on, I have to change the battery 1 second. Okay, we're back. So with the Strength and the Emperor, this, because the Four of Wands talks about sort of like, it could represent partnership or family or home or celebration or something like that. Today it's coming through with like family or people that you're working with. There's something, so it could be, this is, I'm kind of seeing this as two people, but it doesn't have to be that. It could also be something about like, there's an aspect of like having to, someone here, there's so much fire energy in this reading. Someone here is sort of trying to keep something afloat is how it's coming through, or like using a lot of strength to keep something balanced or stable in an environment that is not that. And then with the Emperor here, it looks to me like, because this is the Five of Wands, it's, and I feel like what's being protected is this Four of Wands energy. Like something, it feels like something new, but at the moment there's some sort of like fifth wand, right? That's causing conflict, or if it's not conflict, it's just, it doesn't feel like conflict. It just feels like there's problems to work through. It's like there's like an extra energy. It's like the red sock, right? Or like the red clothing that like interferes with the white laundry. That's what's coming through. So it could be a problem or something that this energy is dealing with. I feel like, though, that that's like a worry. It could be a tense situation. This Emperor card also talks to me about like putting structure to something. It's normally Emperor is Aries energy, but today it's coming through more as like Saturn, like discipline or structure, or perhaps lessons, or like having to like use a lot of self-control in order to deal with some sort of tense situation is how that's coming through. I do feel, though, that there's a turning point, because it's kind of like this energy is like the right at the center. This is right at the middle of the spread, and then it sort of shifts into this. You have here the Hierophant and the Eight of Coins. This Eight of Coins to me talks about like getting the final piece that you need in order to complete a project. Right? It's like putting the last piece into place. And with the Hierophant, this one talks to me about like an epiphany, or like maybe not that. It could be. It kind of feels like discovering, like finding the answer. That's what it is. It's finding the solution or the answer to something, perhaps in a way that's very unexpected, but that makes a lot of sense, is how it's coming through. So just be aware of that it might be coming through like something unexpected. It might be coming from the crows, is kind of how it's feeling. Especially if somebody's feeling like they don't belong in a situation, like where they are currently feels like it's not, why are they here? Or there's like, that they don't fit into wherever it is that they are. I feel like maybe there's something about that that's surprising with the 8 of Coins. Because it's almost like here with the 7 of Cups and the Page of Pentacles, like I'm seeing this as being like somebody, the Page of Coins talks about like a sort of an offer or like a small gesture in some way. That I feel like, so maybe there's somebody here that is like, especially with the 7 of Cups, this one talks to me about like confusion because of environmental factors. Like it's just like there's a lot of stuff going on, or it's like so loud that you can't think, or it's like it's that kind of energy, the like environmental confusion or noise. But that actually may be providing an answer is how it's coming through. Because I feel like somebody is working on something or working on some sort of expansion, but hasn't shared it yet for whatever reason. I feel like it's the time to share it is approaching, but it's kind of like you need the one final piece, and that hasn't been found yet. I feel like because it's coming from the crows, the final piece is actually somewhere within this group that is different from you. And there may be fear about going into that group because of anxiety or fear or worry, thinking that they are against you, but I feel like they're not, is how it's coming through. They're not against you, they're just different from you. Okay, group 2. I'm going to leave it there. If this reading resonated with you, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. It helps so much. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. Hi, group 3. Let's get started with your reading. So for you, you have the card in the Garden of Lost Teeth, number 40. And the pollination card came out as a clarifier. So I'm going to read the description of this one and just read the guidance section for the pollinator one, because I feel like that is the what I'm being guided to do. So number 40, I haven't actually seen this card before. It's really interesting. I was just briefly skimming through it earlier. Okay. So, in the Garden of Lost Teeth, after you cross a stream, the landscape shifts. Rivulets interweave here, and the ground is abundant in low, green vegetation, with only a few trees here and there, offering occasional shade in a moist, sunny space. You are engrossed in stepping around the spidering waterways, so at first you don't notice how shiny the tiny white, yellow, and cream-colored buds are on the plants here. Eventually, the sunlight strikes one of these buds so that it gleams in your eye, and then you also notice the neat borders around these strange plants made of those same shiny buds. As you look closer, you realize you are in a garden, and what you thought were flower buds are actually teeth of all shapes, ages, and sizes. You also might hear fireworks happening outside. So the keynotes for this one is an indication of shifting into a different phase in life, a reminder of age and aging. Teeth are classic symbols of aging. We are born without teeth. They start to come in as our bodies become ready to eat solid food, thus gaining more independence from our parents. We lose our milk teeth once we are ready to be out in the world on our own, gaining further independence. Wisdom teeth come in once we are able to survive on our own in the world, and eventually, even with decent care routines, we lose our teeth as we get older. Each gain or loss of teeth marks a different stage in our lives. So this is talking about aging or moving into a new phase in your life. I feel like there's some sort of wisdom coming in here for you. And it's also there was a note here about like giving yourself a rite of passage. So memorial services and marriages are rites of passage, but we need rites for other important moments, such as the ending of a marriage, the birth of a child growing up and leaving home, or beginning or leaving a new job, business, project, or home. Here are some there are just examples of like rites of passage that you might consider doing in this period of transition for yourself, like moving into a new phase of your life, whatever that is. And the pollination card, I'm just going to read the guidance section. So when you are drawn to this archetype, it is time to cultivate and or more deeply appreciate the win-win relationships and scenarios in your life. Notice where you are already experiencing symbiosis, whether through a job, a relationship, a pet, a garden, or some other situation. Consider if you are overgiving and not receiving enough in some area of your life. How might you either shift this into a more symbiotic situation or otherwise let it go? Consider if you are not giving enough in a situation or relationship in which you are receiving benefit. How might you come into balance and reciprocity in this situation? Note that sometimes gratitude may be all that is needed to bring the situation into greater balance. This archetype also asks you to lighten up, follow your curiosity, and spread your inspiration around. Pollinators do not drink deep. They get a little taste and then move on to the next taste. This gives them a variety of different kinds of nourishment, and it has a mingling and spreading effect through the environment. When you're drawn to this archetype, take a break from your deep dives, even just for a day. Let yourself lighten up, talk with and listen to people, and engage your curiosity in new experiences. You can dive back in again after getting a little fresh air on the surface. So, no deep dives for this one is how it's coming through. Perhaps that's your rite of passage is kind of how it's coming through. Like it feels like there's an energy here of like moving on to a new phase in your life, and perhaps sort of like showing gratitude in all the positive relationships or environment that has benefited you in this last phase is how it's coming through. Like just showing gratitude is how it's feeling to me. So like what inspires you or what has inspired you? Okay. The reddening is the one card. And okay, and the yellowing. And you have Pluto at the bottom of the deck. So the reddening talks about like being alive in the work, right? Like every aspect of what it is that you're doing is part of the work, metaphorically, or however you relate to that word. It's all coming together. I feel like that's what this card is talking about. It talks about life force and vitality as well. And with the yellowing, this talks about a transition. This talks about aging as well, which is so interesting. That there's like a significant sort of shift between, and these are both the color cards. Because color is a huge inspiration for me. I feel like it's talking about inspiration, or like what has inspired you recently. In your environment is how it's coming through. Like what has inspired you? Yellowing tells the truth. It leads us forward like the vibrant canary in the mind, warning of what's to come. Take heed. The transition is here, whether by yoke or bile. How to respond is up to you. It's likely you already know. I feel like it's not coming through with the warning today, especially with the Garden of the Teeth. When I saw this, it was I don't know. I got kind of like an unsettling vibe. I feel like it's not that though. It's like don't think too hard on this is how it's coming through. It feels very peaceful actually. There's something about cuz this card mentions a canary. There's this bird that I've been seeing around, bright yellow bird. I thought it was a canary, but it's actually a goldfinch. So it's something about like something that maybe somebody's perceiving as a warning is not actually a warning. It's a sign of a transition or gratitude is how it's coming through. It's a sign of gratitude. Everything is alive is what comes through this. What occurs in the body is reflected in the world and vice versa. We reach the heart. The alchemist finds the sacred ingredients of power and kindness. Okay. So transitioning for sure. That could be, it is coming through with like a rite of passage. It's like I'm feeling like this energy of like someone saying like goodbye to something. Like it's like the last round of saying goodbye to something. The marriage card. That's certainly a rite of passage. That could be a huge transition as well, right? Interesting. Career. And then the bear. Danger, especially in money matters. And we were just talking about a warning. Marriage and career. These are the two. These are astral houses. And then the bear. So it's not a warning. It's a sign of gratitude. And then you have happiness and the valley. Deep personal strength and peace that assure success. So you have 3 astral house cards. Marriage, career, and happiness. Right? There's only like 12 of these in this huge deck. So a very significant transition that has to do with sort of like these 3 things coming together is how it's coming through. Marriage, career, and happiness. That's extremely significant. I feel like here with the bear, there might be a feeling of somebody's feeling concerned about that. It's almost like because it's kind of like you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, that kind of thing. But with the valley here, it's kind of like it's assuring you that you have everything you need to make this successful is how it's coming through. So there may be a challenge, right? I was saying that it's not a warning, it's a sign of gratitude. So maybe there's somebody who's like warning you about something. Like so this card, I didn't read this section, but I skimmed through it earlier and it was talking about like wisdom and your age specifically, or like perhaps even like a generation gap, or that there's perhaps somebody who's older than you who's trying to give guidance, right? It could be something like that, where it's like they're perhaps somebody who's older than you or like who has more wisdom than you is trying to give guidance on one or all three of these aspects in your life: marriage, happiness, and career. And it's coming through as being like, it's not a warning, it's a sign of gratitude. It's like, this is one of like a okay, but this is where it's coming in with sort of like not a deep dive, right? Like somebody could say something to you that sounds like a warning. It's like, take with a grain of salt, take it into consideration as well, but also don't let it be sort of like the guiding energy. Like, don't like take it, I don't want to say like don't take it too seriously, but it is coming through like that. Like, lighten up about it. Like somebody's warning you about something maybe. But it's kind of like there are many other flowers in the garden. You don't have to only drink from that one flower, is kind of how it's coming through. Like so especially if this person is someone who's very important to you or is like, has been a mentor to you, they may have one perspective on something that you're doing. And it's kind of like there are many other perspectives that you can also, take into consideration, and it's kind of like it's up to you to sort of put all of those things together in a way that makes sense to you. I feel like though so again, if you are having, I don't know, this card sometimes talks to me about like somebody like warning you, right? Like giving you a warning about something. Yeah, you have the Muse of Inspiration coming out next. That's a King of Wands. I'm going to get all the cards and then I'll talk about them. Two of Pentacles and the King of Swords. Six of Pentacles. Eight of Cups. Three of Inspiration. Three of Materials. Five of Swords. Sorry if you can hear the fireworks. Okay, no, that's too many. I need two more. Okay, Ace of Inspiration. And the Nine of Inspiration. Okay. And then a Knight of Voices at the bottom of the deck. This talks about today it's coming through as clarity, or I often see this card as being like a saving grace, like the information that you need, or like good news, or something like that. Okay, but you're starting off here with the King of Wands and the Three of Inspiration. So I feel like this is talking about like some sort of action being taken or something happening that's setting a lot of, what's the phrase? Setting a lot of things into motion is how it's coming through. Especially with this sort of reddening card. It's talking about like something happening, right? Like something exciting happening, whatever that is. It could be something to do with any of these three aspects in your life. These are such general cards that like I'm not going to even try and put details on this for you. I feel like you will know what this is because it feels significant. It feels significant enough that it's going to affect all or many aspects of your life is how it's coming through. A very significant transition where there's perhaps a lot of moving parts, but especially with the cards coming out next, you have the 2 of materials and the 3 of materials coming out underneath that. So it's looking to me like adding one more component into this, right? It's like you have 2 and it's like having to add a 3rd layer or a 3rd component into something that's already perhaps established or that you've been working hard at, right? It's like weaving something in or reaching some sort of new, if perhaps I feel like it's like talking about some sort of celebration, right? Like something to celebrate is how it's feeling to me. Some sort of very happy celebration. But it's kind of feeling like what's coming out next. You have, so the Muse of Voices is the King of Swords. Carbon. And the 5 of Voices. So this 5 of Voices card talks to me about like, here's your goal. Here's the thing that you're working towards. And there are distractions. Like my dog currently. One second. Okay, sorry. You may hear the occasional firework and or dog barking. But I feel like that's part of the message too with these cards that I'm on. It's kind of feeling like there's something to celebrate or some sort of goal or achievement or like significant event that's very positive and happy. But there may be some energy around you that's sort of like either against it or doesn't approve or is like my dog, like just doesn't like fireworks, like that kind of thing. Like they are against it in some way, like whatever that is, perhaps is highlighting or bringing it to your attention things that are potentially negative or unpleasant about the situation or something like that, or like giving you a warning, let's say. I feel like though it's kind of like it feels kind of like a significant relationship or like somebody that you care about and also cares about you. Very important to highlight that. It's like, I feel like they're trying to be a part of it in some way. Trying to be a part of this celebration in the only way that they know how is how it's coming through. And so they may be sort of like perhaps giving you advice, but advice that may be highlighting sort of like the negative aspects, which is just something to keep in mind. With the King of Swords here, it's talking about like using your discernment in what information you are allowing to shape your output, or like not being distracted by things that are in the environment when it's like you have a clear goal or focus in mind is how it's coming through. The next couple cards out you have are the 6 of Pentacles and the Ace of Inspiration. So I feel like so this card talks to me about like a really positive and beneficial relationship that gives back to you, right? It's like you create together is what this is coming through with, especially with like the pollination card. This is a win-win situation for the two parties involved, at least, or three, or however many, right? If that's getting too loud, I might have to close the window. With the Ace of Inspiration, again, I feel like there's a lot of passion and inspiration and creativity that's within this new dynamic is how it's coming through. Especially if you are like merging different aspects of your life is how that's feeling to me. Like you're incorporating some sort of new thing that's going to affect more than one aspect of your life. I feel like it's going to be like very creative and beneficial, and will also bring in a lot of abundance is how it's feeling to me. But there's like the last couple of cards, which is interesting, the 8 of Cups and the 9 of Inspiration. Because the 9 of Inspiration talks about, the 9 of Wands traditionally talks about someone who's like a wounded warrior, right? They have very strong beliefs and have like very strong boundaries as well. They've endured a lot of difficulty or challenge in their life is how that's coming through. So I feel like this is actually coming through as the one who's giving you the warning is how that's feeling. Like I don't want to say that they're preventing passage, but it's kind of like a little bit is how that's coming through to me, especially with the 8 of Cups. It's like perhaps something like causing confusion or a lack of clarity. Okay, sorry, we're back. So with these last two cards here, with the 8 of Cups and the 9 of Inspiration, I feel like this is like an individual or a relationship, or like perhaps somebody who's older than you or is trying to share wisdom is how it's coming through. But perhaps their perspective on your situation, or like the change that you're making, or some sort of thing that you're doing that I feel like is very happy and positive and inspirational and exciting for you. I feel like they have a perspective of it being the wrong choice, or not good for you, or whatever, right? Like they have a warning for you. That's how it's coming through. With the 8 of Cups, though, it's kind of feeling like with the guidance section that I read for this pollination card, it's like if this situation is taking too much from you, where it's like it's not you're giving more to the situation than is giving back to you, it might be something that you let go with the 8 of Cups, where it's like it because I feel like the guidance is to like give it a moment, right? Like to listen, to accept the guidance that's coming through, or to like allow this one to give whatever it is that they're giving. To give it a moment is how it's coming through. But that in the end, the decision and the discernment and the choice to move forward is up to you. And it kind of feels like there may be sort of like a letting go of this energy, if it's in fact taking more from you than it is giving, right? I just want to get one more card. Perhaps they just need a bit of attention is kind of how it's coming through. Okay, I got 4 cards. So 5 of inspiration. This card always talks to me about like being split on something, right? Like not being sure about what it is you're supposed to be doing next. And then the 6 of voices, which talks about like moving forward very quickly, or like moving over obstacles very quickly. Moving forward, right? It talks about like moving forward from this place. But with the 5 of emotions and the Muse of emotion, it could be that you're leaving something behind, is how it's coming through. Leaving some aspect behind. Perhaps a relationship that is coming through with an energy of like, it's dangerous. It depends though, right? It depends, because it could be that there are multiple energies around you that are sort of like needing your attention before you move forward. It's like showing, like making the rounds, right? Like you go and see, like, let's say there's an energy of like leaving a job, for example, moving into a new job. Like you go and say goodbye to all your coworkers, and each one perhaps has something for you, or like some sort of words of wisdom, or like a blessing or something like that. But there may be one that is perhaps very torn up about you leaving, is kind of how it's coming through. Or like with the 5 of emotions, right? They're in sort of like an energy of loss. Feels like they're losing. They're losing you is how it's coming through. It's like if they can't support a decision, then yes, they will be losing you, is how it's coming through. If they can't support something that is making you happy and is something to celebrate, it's like I feel like that would be sort of like their loss, is how it's feeling. Anyways, I don't want to end it on such like a melancholy note, but it feels kind of like you're in a very significant transition point that is going to affect multiple aspects of your life in a way that's like very harmonious, very positive, very inspirational, very happy. And it's kind of like taking a moment to honor that space and that transition, and honor all the relationships and the positive, beneficial exchanges that you've had up until this point. So I'm going to leave it there, group 3. If this reading resonated with you, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. It helps so much. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great night. Bye.